There's no way y'all would rather be trapped in the woods with a bear over a man.
All right, let's break this down so everybody understands why you should, yes, should choose a bear over a man. Not even just women, honestly, everybody should pick the bear. Reason number one, a bear is not gonna act any differently when it realizes there aren't any witnesses. The bear is gonna act like a bear. However, there are quite a few men who will act very differently upon the realization that nobody else is watching. Reason number two, bears do not wanna talk to you. If a bear knows you are in the woods, it will literally leave you alone. You will never see it. This is why the biggest safety advice to anybody who's camping in bear country is just to make noise. If you're with a group of people, have conversations. If you're by yourself, periodically just shout bear. They also sell bells that you can hang on yourself if you're a solo hiker that will continually make noise to let grizzlies and black bears know that you're in the area. So long as you do not surprise them, it is very unlikely that you will encounter a bear. Millions of people camp every single year all across bear country, and very few of them have any direct bear encounters at all, and very few of those bear encounters are ever even lethal. Whereas if a man is alone in the woods with a woman and they hear a noise, they will likely do the exact opposite and go towards that source where they know there is another person. Especially if this is a nefarious man who knows that the other person in the woods is smaller and weaker than them. Reason number three, bears do not want to attack people. If you get attacked by a bear, it is almost certainly just due to one of two reasons. Either one, you startled it, or two, you ran across a mama bear with her cubs. And since you're alone with this bear, I think we can assume that this is not a mama bear with her cubs. However, there are men that do enjoy hurting and taking advantage of others, and will rush to the opportunity to do that once given the chance. Reason number four, bears are very predictable. If you've ever gone camping before, you've likely been taught how to scare off a bear. You make yourself really big and make a lot of noise, and most of the time they just run off. Now tell me, if you were a woman alone in the woods, how would you scare off a man? There is not a fucking answer to that question. Remember, the question is not, would you rather get into a fist fight with a man or a grizzly bear? The question is, would you rather be stuck in the woods with either a man or a bear? And considering the bear almost certainly wants nothing to do with you and therefore will not pay you any attention, you should choose the bear.
Not really sure why this is a debate, but here we are. And I've seen a whole lot of comments from people who don't understand women's stories or statistics. So to be clear, the answer is unequivocally a bear, and here are the two reasons why. First, the numbers. In the United States, there are 340,000 bears and about 57 million hikers, 26 million of which are female. Since 2020, there have been exactly 7 women killed by bears and 15 non-fatal attacks on women. In the US, there are also 165 million men and 168 million women. Since 2020, there have been 8,000 fatal attacks on women by men and 1.6 million non-fatal attacks. Yeah, but what about adjusting for population size? Okay, fine. But first, just so we're clear, this is an impossible hypothetical, because in the US, the Departments of Natural Resources in every state regulate the population of bears. They do not regulate the population of men. But sure, for the sake of this, let's do the impossible. In order to adjust for population, the number of bears in the United States would have to increase by a multiplier of 485 in order to equate to the same population of men. In other words, to get us to 165 million bears, which means you'd have to take that same 485 and make it a multiplier of the incidence. So in this hypothetical, 3,395 deaths and 7,275 non-fatal attacks, which means even in this impossible hypothetical of 165 million bears, you're still greater than 2 times more likely to be killed by a man than a bear if you're a woman in the United States, and about 220 times more likely to be involved in a non-fatal attack by a man than a bear. Oh, also, I should note, statistics on bear attacks are not infamously underreported, unlike the other side of the equation, where statistics show that only about 1/5 of violent encounters against women by men are actually reported, and less than 1/5 of those actually lead to an arrest, and less than 1/100th of those lead to a felony conviction, which means 1% of the ones that are actually reported, meaning not only that men who perpetrate these acts are much more likely to go free than they are to be punished, but also have the opportunity to do it again. Do you want to know what the punishment is for a bear who kills or even injures a human being? There are no repeat offenders, and there is no recidivism. Oh, and not to mention that most states have laws on self-defense against bears that are, let's just say, very favorable to the human being being attacked. Whereas, by the way, in the United States, when a woman who brings a legal claim of self-defense, they are 2 times more likely to be found guilty of a crime themselves than when a man brings up a claim of self-defense. It's almost like we just don't believe women or something. You know? Speaking of which, the second reason why the answer is bear. It's because women are telling you that it's bear. That's kind of all that matters.
If you had a daughter, would you rather her be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
Bear, for sure.
A bear.
I think a bear. The bear is nicer than a man.
A bear.
Probably a bear, because at least the worst they can do is kill them.
A bear. Bears only kill 100 people a year.
A bear.
Are you hearing the discourse of people who are talking about would
as a woman, would you rather be stuck in the forest with a bear or with a man you don't know? Are you not hearing this discourse at all?
My answer's probably bear.
Obviously bear. And people like some men like can't understand why a woman would choose a bear over a man. I'm like, where do I start? First of all, a bear, I don't know where this like sequitur, like, this is so non sequitur. It's because we're talking about animals and projects. I don't know. Anyway.
Do you even question our tangents anymore?
No, I don't, I guess. So number one, a bear doesn't want trouble.
Might leave.
A bear is just kind of like, I want food. You're not food and I don't want any trouble. I'm going to fucking leave.
Yeah.
Versus like a man who will bother you just to fucking bother you.
Until one of you dies.
And a bear, if it is going to attack you, will attack you to just kill you, right? Whereas a man, if he wants to attack you, will attack you for what could potentially be a multitude of reasons. With a bear, there will be no second location. With a man, there could be. With a bear, there will be no or, you know.
It might hurt a little bit, but it won't persist.
It won't. They'll try to kill you as fast as they can.
Yeah.
They won't prolong it. They're not going to like, you know what I'm saying? Like the reason I bring this up is because we're talking about my daughters. That's why. I watched a woman and she asked her husband, would you rather, like let's simplify this. Let's make this easy for the men who don't understand. If you were the father of a daughter, would you rather your daughter be stuck with a bear or with a man she doesn't know? And the father had to really think about it. He's like, God, I don't know. I mean, like.
But what if it's someone like me?
Right. Or what, but you know, a bear could just leave, like, just all of these like scenarios. And then she says, okay, would you rather leave our daughter with a bear or a woman? He goes, woman, easy answer. And she goes, that's exactly our point, is that we have to think about men hurting us all the time. Oh. Men don't have to think about things like that. I'm like, that was a very easy way to help men understand the difference between what men and women have to go through just living in the world. And I bring this up because this is, it's just so
she
prominent.
even had to go that far.
No. She didn't have to go that far.
They have a daughter, right?
Well, no, it wasn't because he wasn't understanding. She was doing the experiment with him because she's like, let me help other people understand.
I see.
Yeah, no, she was like, people.
Because there's a lot of guys with daughters who don't get it. And I'm like, I don't understand.
Exactly. My husband, for sure, 100% would have to like think like, God, I really don't know. And because I know a lot of men can't be trusted with young girls. And the last thing I want to do is put my daughter in that kind of danger. But, you know, a bear, at least, you know, you have to weigh your options. And the fact that you have to weigh your options between a man and a bear is exactly why women tell you we have to consider all men. And
I mean, like even without having daughters, men.
Sure.
Men
yeah.
get
Absolutely.
By other men
Absolutely.
all the time. I don't understand why it's so hard to understand.
I know. It just popped into my head. Sorry, I just like derailed everything we were talking about. But
there's a guy walking around asking women, would you rather be stuck in the woods with a man or a bear? Just hear me out. 1 in 6 women will be attacked by a man in her lifetime. Only 1 in 1 million people have a chance to be attacked by a bear. You live with and walk past in your life probably hundreds of thousands of men. You will probably never walk past a bear. You ain't watched enough nature documentaries, baby.
So a lot of people tag me in this video because they think this man is This man brings up a point that deserves exploring, and pun absolutely intended, I come bearing statistical receipts. Bears heavily prefer eating things like plants, berries, and nuts. They don't like the smell of folks. They'll eat folks, yes, but only if they're desperate, and that's highly unlikely if they're gonna be in a forest. Bears very rarely attack if they're unprovoked. They're like ninjas. They don't use their powers unless they absolutely have to. From 2018 to 2020, there were over 50,000 reported bear encounters in North America. Only 5 of those people died. Since 1784, there have been millions of reported bear encounters in North America, and only 180 of those people have died since then. The reason lady folks are saying this is because male folks have so much more to gain from hurting them. Bears gain nothing, and the only way they hurt people is by eating them, and that pain is over much quicker in comparison to what male folks normally do. So I think their argument is a lot more sound than what you're making it out to be.
If I were alone in the woods, would you rather me encounter a bear or a man?
I mean, is it a friendly man?
We don't know anything else. It's just man or bear.
I feel more like bear. I don't know, because I feel like I would know what the outcome would be with a bear, even if it was like an aggressive one. I don't know what the outcome would be with like a bad man.
Yeah.
So I think I lean more toward a bear. I mean, both situations, I guess you hope for a good man and a good bear.
Yeah.
But I think you're more likely to anticipate what a bear would do than what a man would do.
So if you had a baby, would you be more willing to leave it in the woods with a random man or a bear?
Oh, tough one. I'd say a woods with a random man, yeah.
Okay, and why?
I mean, the bear's going to tear it apart, but the random man, you got a small chance of it surviving.
I'll take the man any day then, I suppose.
Well, they're both dangerous, so I would say a bear.
Interesting question. I guess still with a random man.
Okay.
Well, with the bear, the odds are quite slim that he would survive. With the random man, there's 50-50 opportunity, so I guess just go with the odds.
Or a man.
Yeah, a random man that you don't know.
Interesting. Probably the bear. Yeah.
A random man.
A random man, I guess, yes.
How come?
Bears eat babies. It's just food to them, whereas you've got a reasonable chance it would be a human being to a strange man.
A definite certain risk with a bear and probably 50-50 with a human.
Yeah, that says a lot, doesn't it?
Is neither an option?
No.
I have to pick one?
Yeah, have to pick one.
My instincts tell me in the woods with a bear.
With a random man.
Okay, and why?
There's no good outcome with a bear.
Bear.
Okay, why?
Don't trust man. Terrible people.
A bear. You'd really rather be out in the forest with a bear. Like, these girls are losing their minds. You know what that is? That is a classic cultural gaslighting tactic. I saw someone sharing a story about somebody getting eaten by a bear and how it took 6 minutes. I would take those 6 minutes over the 18 hours that I spent trapped with a man. I would take those 6 minutes. Like, best case scenario, you come across a bear in the woods, it goes past you. Best case scenario, you come across a man in the woods, it goes past you. Worst case scenario, the bear eats you. It takes 6 minutes. Ouch, that sucks. Worst case scenario with a man. I can't even say it on here. Like, worst case scenario with a man is things like what Bundy would do. Like, worst case scenario with a man, I end up on a true crime podcast. Y'all heard those details? Have y'all heard how long? Like 6 minutes if you're lucky. I would take the bear. I would take the bear any damn day of the week. And I love the way that our culture continually just tries to make women just seem like they're crazy. Like, it's just like, oh, no, you wouldn't. Yes, baby, I would. And I really, really hope that you never go through half of the things that I've been through. Believe women. Bottom line, believe women. And stop trying to tell people how they feel about things. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a beautiful and blessed day.
Man or bear? I hadn't heard of this until my wife asked me about this a couple days ago. And she posed it to me like this. Would you rather have your daughter in the woods alone with a man or a bear? I instantly said bear. And then I thought about it. And I still said bear. I'll tell you why. My name's John. I was a police officer for 31 years, spent the last 11 in the Crimes Against Persons section, investigating all things bad that happen to people. And to say that I'm aware of the icky things that people can do to each other is an understatement. We can look at this question from a couple different angles, like who would be the most helpful? Well, a human could be helpful. Who would potentially be the most immediately dangerous? The bear. We talk about motivation. If we're out in the woods, we're in the bear's domain. We're in his backyard, as it were. We're not in the man's backyard, so the motivation would be different. The bear kills because he's trying to protect something, or they're hungry, I would imagine. I'm not a bear expert. Men kill because they make a choice. Often men kill because they want to. Often men kill over emotion, jealousy, rage. I don't think this plays into what animals do. Animals are instinctively based. They are fight or flight. You don't harm them, they're likely not going to harm you. What I can tell you is this, is that 1 in 7 women in their lifetime statistically, are injured by a man. And it's usually someone that they know, someone that they should trust. 1 in 7. 1 in 2 million, 2.1 million people are attacked by bears. 1 in 2.1 million. I got that last number off the internet. I hope it's right. So, my daughter, we're in the woods, alone with a man or a bear. Me understanding how men will continue to harm women at an alarming rate. I go bear every day of the week. Anybody who says different is a goofball.
Because at least with the bear's not gonna just date me for my money.
Okay, so men have been saying that they would rather pick the bear over a woman, and let's talk about it. If that's what you would pick, that's what you would pick. I'm not going to talk you out of that. But for men saying this, y'all don't really mean that. You're just saying it because we said that we would pick the bear over y'all, and that bothers y'all. Y'all don't like the idea that we would rather be stuck in the woods with a bear than with you. And the same thing happened with the 4B movement. When it became more known about and popularized, men came up with their own movement. Women will do things in response to the harm that y'all do, and then y'all want to get vindictive and say, well, we could do that too. We could do that too. You're not the only ones that can do that. We could do it too. And y'all don't really have a real reason to do it. It's just because we did it and it bothers y'all. And notice the difference of reasonings. We're talking about being assaulted and brutalized by men, whereas y'all are talking about not wanting to be stuck in the woods with a single mother or be stuck in the woods with a woman that would use you for your money. Do we see the difference there? Y'all don't see women as threats the way that we see y'all as threats. I did a video recently talking about how you should basically be doing background reports on people that you're dating, because I want to know if you got a long, lengthy criminal history or if you hiding a wife with kids. And a guy came into my comment section and said, no, that's not important. I want to know that body count. The things that y'all are worried about when it comes to us is not violence. Y'all are worried about body counts. Y'all are worried about whether a woman has kids or not. Y'all are worried about not getting used for your money. All non-life-threatening things. I'm trying to figure out what your criminal record is because I don't want to be in a relationship with a domestic abuser and you're just worried about how many people I slept with because you think if I slept with too many people, my value has gone down. Do you see the difference of importance of what we look for in each other? I can guarantee you there are some men that probably do this, but a lot of men aren't checking women's backgrounds. A lot of men are not crossing the street when a woman is walking towards them on the same street. And if we're being honest, a lot of y'all would choose to be in the forest or in the woods with a woman. And whether your intention for wanting to be in the forest or the woods with us is good or bad, you know that more than likely we are not going to be a threat to you because we have not proven ourselves to be. And y'all know that.
Are y'all realizing that myself and other women are saying bear because we would quite literally rather die? And then we have some people saying, well, not all bears. Just because one bear did it doesn't mean that all bears would do it. You shouldn't be scared of all bears. Let's get a lineup of bears and you show me which one I should be scared of. In this Target right now, you point out to me which men I should and should not be fucking scared of. Well, I don't know. Exactly. At least a bear wouldn't show videos and photos and dap up their buddies after. At least a bear couldn't say the words, well, she liked it. She asked for it. A bear would probably leave you alone even after you were dead. To get most bears to leave you alone, all you have to do is scream loud enough. Can't say the same. Women are asking their guy best friends, their boyfriends, their husbands, their fathers, and they're all saying the same thing. Why do you think that is? Bears don't grasp the concept of wrong and right, but you know who does. At least a bear didn't pretend to be your friend for months beforehand just to get what it wanted in the end.
Okay, this whole bear versus man debate, I would obviously choose the bear, and I'm gonna explain why in 2 reasons. Number 1, the question was, would you rather be alone in the woods with a bear or a man? They never specified that I would be outside. They just said, would I rather be alone in the woods with a bear or a man? Alone could mean that I'm alone in a cabin. And if I'm in a cabin, I'm 1,000,000% picking the bear. Because if I'm in a cabin by myself, nobody else with me, and I look outside my window and there's a bear, it's fine. It's just a bear. He's supposed to be here. This is his hood, okay? He probably just wants to use my hot tub, okay? It's just a bear. But if I look outside my window while I'm alone in a cabin in the woods and I see a man, I am going to piss my pants. okay? And then I'm gonna literally spontaneously combust because there's no way in hell. Okay, reason number 2, now let's just say I do happen to be outside alone in the woods with the bear or a man. I would still pick the bear, and here's why. If I'm gonna be in the woods, I would come prepared, okay? Because a girl like me, I don't go to the woods. I go to the mall, okay? I don't go to the woods. So if I was in the woods, I would come prepared. I would have bear spray, bear mace, whatever it is I needed to defend myself for a bear. I would be prepared to encounter a bear. You can never be prepared to encounter a man. Plus, I'm sorry, but my vibe is literally just different. Like, if I encountered a bear, he would leave me alone because he would be like, she has good vibes. Like, her aura is mad different. Why would I mess with her? I can't say the same for a man.
I would rather paint my entire house with a Q-tip than continue listening to your opinion. What I did there just now is called a hyperbole. Hyperboles are usually used to drive a point home, to exaggerate a statement with the goal of driving a point home. Your opinions are so insufferable that I would much rather waste my time using a Q-tip to paint my entire house. Stay with me, I know this is very complicated. Women understand that not every man is a predator, but they also understand that there's enough predators out there to exercise caution when they see a man like you. And the problem is you still don't get it. You have hundreds of women replying to your comment, telling you why you're wrong, and you refuse to accept that. Is the bear relevant to the story? The bear is the hyperbole here. It's the figure of speech being used to demonstrate to you how they fear men more than they would an animal.
Okay, so you're probably wondering why I'm out here in the woods alone. All right, I came out here for some clarity and to say that I think I have a greater understanding now about this whole man versus bear thing. Women, when they see me, are more likely to be afraid of me than a bear. Because how often do you see a bear? You're not really afraid of bear, but they see men all the time and they are afraid of them. And while that didn't make sense to me because I internalized it, I made it about me. Obviously, I'm out here in the woods. I'd much rather see a man than a bear, but that's me. I feel like I could defend myself against a man. I don't walk through the world afraid of bears. That's my perspective, but that's not a woman's perspective. So I tried to make it, so how do I understand what women are saying? And it clicked to me when I said, you know what? Anytime I see a police officer as a black man, I'm afraid. In the back of my mind, I have a level of anxiety. If a police car pulls up next to me or is behind me, I have a very palpable fear every time until they drive away. I never want to encounter a police officer ever. If a police officer started walking through this woods, I would be afraid. Now, if I saw a bear, I'd have some fear. However, I know exactly kind of what's going on with the bear. But with a cop, I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't have to be doing anything wrong. I know that a situation with a police officer, I have a knowledge of things that can go wrong. I've been mistreated by a police officer in interactions where I'm like, this is not fair and I'm powerless to do anything about it. So I get it. I'd rather see a bear than a cop in these woods. Now, I have to be okay with the fact that a random woman seeing me might be afraid. I have to be okay with that and not take that personal. That's just her experience. I can't change how she feels. And all I can really do in my life is try to be a good man, be a good husband, raise good sons, teach my daughters to know what a good man looks like by being an example of one. That's all I can do. This random woman who's afraid of me, that's not on me. It's not on me. That's on her, and that's her journey, and that sucks for her. But I can't really do anything to change it. And I have to accept that, and because I do accept it, there's peace. I'll just try to be a good man like I've tried to be for the last 44 years. And that's what I'm going to do. Society sucks sometimes. And there are a lot of a-holes out there who have made women afraid of all of us. And that is a shame. So I try with every interaction I have with women to be an example of a good man. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get out of these woods because I actually think I do hear a siren.
There's no way y'all would rather be trapped in the woods with a bear over a man.
In March of 2022, 4 men were convicted of gang rape, murdering, and then eating a monitor lizard. They were caught because the trail cams in the wildlife preserve recorded it. Somebody went back and saw those videos and saw this act. Tell me again why I should be more afraid of bears.
Bear or this man? Would you rather be alone in the woods with this bear or this man?
This video cracked me up because this man compared who he felt were the safest man options to go up against the bear, which, if you have to do that, the answer is bear, right? But not only that, the man versus bear conversation is really just pointing out how men have an issue with rejection. They can't fathom the idea that a woman would choose anything other than man, regardless of how dangerous they've even seen men to be themselves. He even went so far as to say that if you chose bear over any of those men or all of those men, that you were delusional, meaning that no matter how you actually feel, if you don't have an answer that agrees with what he thinks you should have, then you're insane. So not only do we have a man who refuses to take no for an answer, but we have one who, when you choose no, will tell you that you're absolutely crazy. Nothing about that feels safe. Now, I happen to be happily married to a man, so I'm a little bit biased in this conversation. But my last ex broke down the bedroom door with his head because I said I needed some time to cool off after an argument we had. I ended the relationship shortly after. But at the same time, I also used to live in the panhandle of Florida, which has a kind of large population of black bears who would go into our trash the way that raccoons do elsewhere in the United States. And if you approach them, they run away. There you have it. And one last thing that has been bothering me about this whole thing is why haven't I seen any men ask the question, would you rather be in the woods with a bear or a woman? Is it because they know we would not care if they chose the bear?
Fellas, stop arguing back about the fucking bear. It's not about the bear. Fine, in a literal sense, yeah, they're probably in more danger with a bear. That's not the point. It's not about the bear. Listen, it's an analogy. Okay, listen. Hey, dads, if you have daughters, answer me this. Have you ever explained to your daughter what to do if some guy grabs her, tries to put her in the back of a fucking van? You have. Scream, claw, fight, scratch, bite, kick, punch, whatever. Why do you feel compelled to explain that to her? Why do you feel compelled to explain to her that dying on the street fighting back is better than dying in the way that whatever's going to happen in that fucking van? Why do you feel compelled to explain it to her? Why do you feel compelled to explain to her that if she scratches and bites, when they find her body, they're going to get DNA evidence? Why do we feel compelled to explain it to her? Because it happens enough that these fears are legitimate. Stop arguing back and listen. Enough women go through enough of these experiences, and oh, well, not me, it's not all men. Go fuck yourself. It's enough men, enough women experience these horrible things that it compels all women to have this legitimate fear of men. Shut up and fucking listen. Christ, this is the whole point of what they're talking about. Instead of listening and understanding why they're scared, you internalized it and make it about your fucking feelings. Shut the fuck up and listen. Get introspective about it.
If I survive the bear attack, I won't have to see the bear at family reunions. The worst thing the bear can do is kill me. The bear sees me as a human being. After what those men did to that monitor lizard, the bears are not safe with men either. The bear doesn't get enjoyment out of it. The bear didn't pretend to be my friend for months beforehand. No one will say that I liked the bear attack. No one will talk about the bear's bright future. If the bear and the man both want to hurt me and I scream loud enough, there's a better chance that the bear will actually run away. A bear wouldn't film it and send it to all his friends. The men getting angry at this don't realize that there are fates worse than death. Ask Junko Furuta, Sadie Robinson, Shanann Watts if they would choose the man or the bear.
I'm a huge fan of hiking, having hiked arguably every hikeable mountain, hill, or national reserve in my country, Kenya. Anyway, once a few years ago while I was hiking a hill in my country called Kilimambogo, we spotted a buffalo crossing the road from a distance. And if you know anything about buffaloes, then you know they're not called one of the most dangerous animals in Africa for nothing. They really are responsible for putting up some bodies in the country every year. Anyway, the buffalo spotted us around the same time that we did spot it, and I swear to God, staring this beast straight in its eyes, man, sent shivers down our spines. Anyway, but I started hoping that I wasn't at least the slowest in the group because, you know, if it started chasing, I'd be on the safe side. Now, we were lucky, however, because actually the buffalo went on its way and didn't bother us in any way. Now, on a different occasion altogether, I was hiking a different hill range in my country all alone this time round. It's called the Ngong Hills Range. I actually dare you to go ahead and type in Ngong Hills Range in the news section on Google, and I promise you that at least one of the top 10 results will have something to do with a crime taking place on the hill or a dead body getting dumped on the hill. It's actually famous for such issues in my country. Otherwise, if I'm being honest, it is an extremely famous hiking spot and it's quite scenic. So if you're ever in the country, as long as you stay on the trails, I promise chances are you'll be safe. So go ahead and visit. So on this day when I was hiking alone, I got there late, which meant I'd be pretty much by myself on the trail when it was time to hike back from the summit to the gate. So I hiked to the summit, enjoyed the views, took some pictures, and decided to head back to the gate. And just as I'm about to turn back, I hear someone who happened to be a young man popping out of the bushes and holding what appears to be a rungu, an African club if you've ever seen one. I'll place an image right here. And right away it was obvious that he hadn't used the regular hiking route that everyone uses, or maybe he had been hiding in the bush longer than I think for whatever reason, and while I was hiking up, I just happened not to realize him. The point though is that when I saw the young man popping out of the forest, I'm not afraid to admit it, man, I've never been more scared in my life. And I'm a man. Spotting a guy that wasn't actually doing anything extremely out of the ordinary. He might have been hiding in the bush to take a leak or something. And when I eventually had to interact with him, he actually ended up being one of the nicest guys I've ever come across. And you'll probably ever meet as well. But when I first saw him coming out of that bush, the terror that I felt, man, is beyond compare. I swear to God. I immediately reached for my camping knife in my bag, and I think at that point I was ready for whatever was going to happen. My adrenaline was through the roof. Anyway, to conclude, obviously the reason this man was more terrifying to me is because the mountain had a history, and the possibilities are endless, man. And if this man had malicious intent, then whatever lies ahead was entirely unpredictable. And the only thing I could do was hope that I'd either come out on top in the fight, or whatever he does to me, man, he is quick and won't involve any to get my bank details or something. With the buffalo on the other hand, the probabilities are simpler. If it decides to attack us, we will know right away, giving us enough time maybe to slide down the slope or run or hide or whatever. Whatever happened, we knew it would actually give us a fair shot at saving our own. Also, more importantly, we knew that once we were out of its sights, we wouldn't have to worry about it hunting us down and darting it even slower because we tried to run and somehow paced it off. So, ladies and gentlemen, as much as it pains us to hear, I think I actually and totally understand why ladies are willing to pick a bear more than a man. And that's because I know I would probably pick the same thing, and I'm a man. That proves that it's not about whether most men are evil or not. It's about considering that if chances were you were to encounter an evil man in the forest or a bear, I think most of us will be more comfortable with the bear. I think the argument boils down to saying that if you encountered an evil man in the wild where the rule of law doesn't apply, man, trust me, even you will wish that you encountered a bear, maybe at least. So guys, to conclude and before you leave, if you'd like to help us supply basic but much needed school materials to kids across Kitui, Kenya, then please donate whatever you can using the PayPal link in the description below. A not so much fun fact is that most kids in Kenya lack basic learning materials like notebooks, pencils and textbooks. And we all know, man, that without these essentials, their education suffers and their future opportunities become limited, man, which is a sad reality altogether. Having said that, together, you and I, fortunately, I think we can make a difference. And that's why I need your support. So, if you can, the PayPal link is in the description. It's the first link when you open the description section. Thanks. And in the meantime, you can also let me know maybe what you got from this man vs. bear conversation. And if you think otherwise, I'll highly appreciate it if in your response at least you included the perspectives that have been shared on this video. Other than that, man, thank you. I'll see you again soon with another compilation.